welcome to IC Stories episode 40 with Estate DAO's co-founders George and Ayushi. Maya-maya, tatanungin natin sila ng napakaraming questions about this because I think, especially here in the Philippines, no, ang laki ng interest for this. Pero I'm jumping ahead of myself. Hello po sa ating mga viewers today. Maraming salamat po for being here. And of course, our team replay. Maraming salamat po for tuning in and we hope na you have a good day and you learn more about what ICP is and what Estate DAO is with this episode. Hi, Scout Martin. Kumusta? Welcome po sa ating viewers. Limestone Cowboy. Hello. Now let's call in Sir Nelson, the co-founder of ICP Hub Philippines for some updates. Hi, sir. How
Hi,
are
good evening.
you? Good
Yeah,
evening.
magandang gabi sa lahat. And I just want to mention no, na kakatapos lang ng code camp natin sa Systems Plus College Foundation.
Pampanga
And
represent.
yes, Pampanga. And I want to mention na meron tayong code camp masterclass na mangyayari next week online.
Ooh.
Abangan nyo yung registration. It's going to be more than 2 hours of coding, no? Coding masterclass together with our tech lead na gagawin natin online, available sa lahat. But sa live na may prizes, kailangan nyo mag-join, kailangan nyo mag-register para manalo rin ng prizes once na ma-complete nyo yung task or ma-follow nyo yung Codecamp Masterclass na tech lead natin.
Yes, and aside from that, we are going to be having mga community events natin, kumbaga, or mga palaro. Wala pa kaming official na name for it. Basta may mga tasks tayo. Kunwari, ano
Sa
to, PBB.
Facebook,
May mga,
yeah.
may mga tasks tayo. And then kapag nasundan niyo yun, of course, meron tayong mga pa-rewards, no? So, ayan. Hesbaso, thank you so much for joining in. So hopefully makapag-participate po kayo sa mga community events natin and online and real life and of course yung masterclass natin for Code Camp. Ayan, nakailang beses na ako nanood ng pagtuturo ni Sir Ellie and meron siyang very specific and napakagaling na skill wherein ang hirap nung topic pero napapadali niya. Tsaka dahil approachable si Sir, ang daling magtanong sa kanya guys, only questions. Daig pa ang buffet. So kung naghahanap kayo ng entry point, kumbaga, no, if you also wanna be a builder or you also want to change a narrative, you want to explore new skills, I think this is perfect for you. Or if you know someone na possibly mag-interested dito, no, share the knowledge, share the love. I think magugustuhan nila. Anything else, Sir Nelson? Ano pa bang nangyayari ngayon within our space?
We have the hackathon no, ongoing. We had the
Mm.
orientation last week.
Yes.
We'll have the checkpoint 1 and 2 next week. And
Mhm.
sa March 8, they will pitch their projects on an in real life event. Meron tayong event sa Wesleyan College sa Cabanatuan. So kung taga doon kayo, Cabanatuan, go to Wesleyan. I think
Drop by,
it's
say
going to
hi.
be open. Yeah. Together with Site,
Mhm.
P-Site. Yeah. Hopefully maging successful yung hackathon natin.
Yes, at pwede nyo rin pong abangan yan dahil na-live stream po natin. So, na-live stream natin yung orientation. Pati po yung mga
Yes.
checkpoints natin are live stream. So, kung interested lang kayo, curious lang kayo, ano ba yung mga projects na ginagawa ng ating mga developers, no? O kaya naman, eventually gusto yung sumali sa hackathon and you wanna get a feel of it, again, that's a perfect avenue for you guys to check out. All right. Sir, very interesting etong ano natin, no, interview natin today. Because I know so many people who want to get into real estate. Kaya lang, alam mo yon, ang laki kasi ng labas, right? And I feel like ang dami nating topics or ang daming opportunities here wherein hindi ganun kalaki yung capital na kailangan mo. What are you most excited to know more about this one, sir?
Well, it can be a game changer, no? Meaning to say, replacement to Airbnb, no? Web3 counterpart. And wala pang gumagawa nito sa IC, sa ibang chains meron na. And I think Estate DAO will be the first one on ICP. So
Wow.
yeah, it can be big. Let's learn more from them actually.
Oh yeah, for sure. And tatlo po ang founders ng Estate DAO. One of them actually lived daw sa Philippines. Unfortunately, hindi siya kasama ngayon. But we have two of their co-founders. We'll introduce them now. I think the other one will be joining in a bit, but let's call in one of them sa ating stage. Hi, George. How are you?
Hi, Julianne. Very well, thank you. Hi,
Hi,
Nelson.
George. GM.
Hi, you're based in France, right?
Yeah, I'm based in France, in the south of France.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for, taking time out of your busy day and answer questions from our community. But before we bombard you with questions, help us get to know a little bit about you. Maybe you could give us a little bit of an intro, how you got into crypto, and eventually Estate DAO.
Yeah, sure. My pleasure. So, if I look at the last 15 years, I've been very focused on building and scaling companies. So, I've had a number of successful exits, most recently around 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time that sort of crypto came on my radar, and I started sort of or let's say diving a little bit deeper into it. So, that was around 2017 to be exact. And like everybody, I sort of started with Bitcoin, started to understand the space, the purpose behind Bitcoin, then fell down
Mm-hmm.
the rabbit hole. And then, of course, Ethereum came along with smart contracts. And then that's when really things became interesting. So I kind of saw the vast possibilities of effectively reinventing aspects of the Web 2 space on Web 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a lot of time over about 2.5 to 3 years investing in the crypto space. And then it was during 2021 that ICP came on my radar. So it was at the time during Genesis where suddenly it came up, and I started reading into the technology behind the platform or behind the blockchain. And then I was like, wow, this is the kind of aha moment where I was like, the IC let's say the ICP blockchain is absolutely perfect to build off.
Yeah.
And for all the reasons we know, the scalability, the security aspects of it,
Mm-hmm.
it was just a kind of incredible moment. And at that point, then I really threw myself into the ecosystem. And so
Mm-hmm.
I started investing first, and then I became a node provider. So currently I'm a node provider securing the network, and that sort of also
Oh,
gave
yeah.
me a lot of access to information on how the whole blockchain
Mm-hmm.
is secured and how it works. And then the next obvious step for me was, well, what can I build on this blockchain? And I kind of looked at, what is the experience that I've had over the last 10, 15 years? And one area that I'd
Mm-hmm.
been very active in was real estate investing. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
buying commercial and residential real estate for the past 15 years. So I really understood that market, and I understood the pain points, especially how difficult it is for the normal person to actually get into the real estate market. It's
Mm-hmm.
expensive, it's time consuming, it's a very illiquid asset, and
Mm-hmm.
it's incredibly complicated. So, the idea was, how can we use Web3 to democratize real estate investing, make it super easy, make it super accessible? And really, the idea was born in terms of tokenizing real estate to allow people to come in and invest as little as $100 so they can
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
a piece of real estate and actually start building up that asset class.
That's
Um,
what I've been talking about earlier, how everyone wants to get into real estate because that's like mostly the end goal for people. But like what you said, you need like a huge capital to get into it. And
yeah.
if you're putting out that much, you're also missing out on other things. And there's just a lot of layers to it. But we'll put a pin on this because Ayushi is here, one of the co founders as well. Hi, Ayushi. Maybe you could give us
Hello, Ayushi.
a quick intro as well.
GM Ayushi.
I think the network
Hi, can you
is
hear me?
yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
hi, can you hear me?
Great.
Hi.
I'm so happy and glad to connect with you today. So, thank you so much for inviting us. Really means a lot because that's how we connect with the community, understand your sentiments, talk
Mhm.
about our own vision, how we can, change things for everybody. So, really excited to be here and be a part of this. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank
Can,
you.
can,
Pleasure is ours.
yeah, Ayushi, can you give us a background on your Web3 journey? How you started and how you were able to discover and got introduced with George and the team.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure, definitely. So as per my own background, I have an experience in financial service design and also the financial size of the market for last 6 to 7 years. And more than that, I've been a project lead on more than 40 plus financial engagement that includes capital market, wealth and asset market, insurance market.
I think the network is not on our side tonight.
To name a few, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. You were saying to name a few.
Okay, I think there's a lag. Yeah. So I think there's a lag
So
and there's a network issue. So all in all, I'm here and I have been working on this, this vision since some time now. And the more you get into it, the
Mhm.
more you understand the problem that has been there in the real estate market since so much of time. Because real estate market, which has been there since the beginning of time, and it is going to be there till the end of eternity. And we need to understand
Mhm.
that it is quite skewed, at the same time
Mhm.
it is quite saturated. So for people like us, like common people, to enter the market, it is a big
Yeah.
challenge. Because there's
Mhm.
so many barriers to entry. For example, there are
Mhm.
market inefficiencies, there are price problem, price uncertainties. More than that, I think a lot or a huge amount of investment along with the high interest rate is required to get into the market.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I've been a avid traveler myself, and I've also understood the inefficiencies of Airbnb model, wherein how
Mhm.
there's a lack of regulation,
Mhm.
inconsistency in the properties that are at the different. Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as I was saying, so there are a lot of inefficiencies like the network that is right now, along with that in the real world as well, wherein there are disputes between the host and the guest. So there are a lot of problems that are
Mhm.
there in the ancient real estate sector. Also, at the same
Mhm.
time, the Airbnb that are there for past some time now, and to have a
Mhm.
solution wherein things become very easy in terms of the regulatory aspect, in terms of the investment side, in terms of getting into a market. Just imagine us, people like us, just investing in some properties just all across the
Mhm.
globe. I think it's a dream for everybody. So, with that vision, we have come together as a team to build something that creates a solution for not just one sector of people, but so many sector all at once.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I feel like we were able to pinpoint so many of the inefficiencies of what you called, like, I like it, ancient real estate model, because that's true.
yeah.
There's so many tech has been growing and growing, but real estate, it has been present since the beginning of time, like you said, but it hasn't really how we approach it. It hasn't adapted with the times. So I'm interested to hear, how was Estate DAO planning on addressing sort of the problems that we were able to tackle earlier?
yeah, so if I
Correct.
kind of jump in and put a little bit of context around Estate DAO, because the vision that we have for Estate DAO is a combination of two key components. Number
Mhm.
one is the investment in the real estate, which will enable you to experience capital appreciation, i.e., when the value of the property goes up, you benefit, and also positive cash flows. So, as that property is rented, you will then receive a portion of that rental income. So, that's kind of
Mhm.
one side. And then the second side is we'll develop a booking platform very similar to Airbnb, a kind of Airbnb on
Mhm.
Web3 that will allow us to list all these properties on the platform to enable people to do short term rentals. What will also happen is that there will be reward programs in place, like loyalty programs, where investors will also have the ability to spend free nights every year in
Oh,
various
nice.
properties around the world. So,
Oh, that's
so it's a
cool.
combination of these two worlds. I mean, that's what's unique about this product. So on the invest in side, and then on the Airbnb side. So when you
Mm-hmm.
combine it, it becomes an incredibly powerful platform. And that's really how we want to develop this platform. And then really bring in the whole community to look at all the various functions that can happen with this model and allow
Mm-hmm.
people to earn rewards that will incentivize them not only to earn monetary rewards, but also the ability to stay in beautiful properties all over the world. So our generation, I mean, we're millennials. We live, we travel in different places. The ability to be able to spend nights in great properties around the world is incredibly appealing, and
That's
that's something that we
amazing.
all
Yeah.
have kind of in common, right? So I've lived in many different countries. I constantly travel. I'm probably traveling 2 or 3 times a month. So I really kind of understand that market and understand how desirable the sort of secondary vacation home market can be. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why that's the area that we really want to focus on. It's
Mm-hmm.
also an area that's growing. So the secondary home market is growing quite rapidly on an annual basis. And we feel if we can develop this technology platform to allow people to actually then tokenize their properties and then at the same time enjoy portfolios of properties, earn rental income, it becomes incredibly powerful. And that
Mm-hmm.
flywheel will
Agree.
kind of help drive adoption. And all of this on the basis of a DAO, right? So there's no
Yeah.
Yeah.
centralized unit here that's controlling. There would be full transparency. And that's kind of one of the key reasons why we want to build it in Web3 and specifically the IC. Is
Mm-hmm.
that we can create it through a DAO. We can have complete and utter transparency on listings, transparency on transactions that are happening on the platform, on
Mm-hmm.
ownership. I mean, one of the
Mm-hmm.
great advantages of the IC is not only the fact that it's incredibly scalable and fast, we have the reverse gas model, so transaction costs are minimal. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have the ability to actually store huge amounts of
Agree.
data on the blockchain quite cheaply.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
I think.
these things are kind of key components as to why we want to develop on the IC.
That's incredibly interesting, and I feel like the highlight on transparency is what we need right now, because there's so much that we don't know behind the scenes, and I feel like being able to invest in this as well is such a huge win for people like me who want to start my real estate portfolio but don't want to or unable to release that much of a huge capital at first, right? So I want to hear, since you're building estate now, what are the key features that users should be excited about? I want to hear from both sides, like as someone listing the property and as someone who will be renting it, from those perspectives.
Okay, so if you look at it from a renter's point of view, one of the big advantages. So when we kind of did the business, we looked at the business model. We said, okay, what are some of the really quick wins that we can implement
Mm-hmm.
initially? And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that we realized is if you look at the Airbnb model, the costs of listing properties and the costs of renting properties are incredibly high. So we
Yeah.
calculated around 30% round trip, right? So
Mm-hmm.
renters are paying 30% to Airbnb, and property owners are paying 15%. So in total, it's 30.
Mm-hmm.
So we can
Mm-hmm.
dramatically reduce that because we won't have all the let's say the centralized unit or the middlemen involved, which means we can
Yeah.
reduce those costs considerably. So we can
Mm-hmm.
foresee possibly bringing that 30% cost down to like 5 to 7%. So that's already
Wow, that
an
is
enormous
drastic.
amount. So it's
Uh-huh.
so that really incentivizes property owners to list and
Mm-hmm.
also for renters to rent properties on the platform. So that's one which is what I consider to be a really quick win.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that if you think of Airbnb, one of the other sort of pain points is the limited payment options. So depending
Yeah,
on
I
where
was
you
gonna
are in the world,
say.
right? Yeah, so you have to pay normally in local currency.
Uh-huh.
So imagine now you can open it up to crypto payments. So you can
Yeah.
pay with various cryptocurrencies. You can pay
I
with
agree.
Bitcoin. You can pay with Ethereum, ICP, stable coins.
Mm-hmm.
You have that sort of availability, which I think
Hmm.
just makes it a lot easier and a lot more desirable to transact on.
I
Um,
I
was
agree.
gonna comment on this because I'm an avid Airbnb user. But I was gonna bring up about the payment options. They're incredibly limited, and sometimes, for example, I'll be flying to the U.S. In a couple of months. So when I paid for my Airbnb, there was such a huge conversion rate from the end of my bank, and it
Exactly.
was unreal. I mean,
Exactly.
I wouldn't be having that kind of headache if I were able to pay with, ICP or again any cryptocurrency. So that's incredibly interesting. That's a good ad as well.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's just really, really low transaction costs.
Mhm.
And then the other thing which is huge is that, the trust and security aspect. So not necessarily on Airbnb, but on Booking.com, I personally have experienced a lot of fraudulent listings. And
Mm.
that's a massive issue in the industry.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
by being able to build this on the blockchain, you've got complete and utter transparency in terms of what's been listed and how it's been listed, and all the information that comes with it. So it becomes a lot better from a trust point of view.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I think that's another area which provides a huge amount of value. And then, sort of as a final thing, one of the issues I have with the centralized control of some of these companies like Airbnb is that they develop their own algorithms, right? So they're promoting
Mhm.
properties they want to promote. There's not a sort of level playing field. So
Mhm.
by kind of making all of this transparent, the community can actually see and vote on, what
I
sort of
agree.
algorithms we decide to go with,
Mm.
and how we
Yeah.
tend to promote certain properties in certain jurisdictions. And so
Mhm.
it's just much more equitable, much more fair, and a lot more trust in developing on a Web3 platform. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the big pull for a lot
Mm.
of, let's say, property owners and people wanting to rent short-term
Mhm.
short-term properties. So that's what I'm kind of excited about. And this is
Yeah.
all possible because of blockchain and because of Web3. And I really think that, like I said, for the reasons I mentioned before, the IC blockchain is absolutely perfect
Yeah.
for this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I just want to add, Georgia. Those are great things, and especially you're building it on IC, and basically you're using the superpowers of IC. Right now, your website is hosted fully on chain, so not even the government of certain countries can take it down. So that's a good thing. You cannot found it. You cannot find it with other chains. Definitely, currently, 100% on chain on ICP. Um, I do have a question since Ayushi is from a different country, Georgia you're from a different country. In terms of maneuvering with regulations, is that a concern that you're looking into? Of
Yeah.
course, although your platform cannot be your platform will persist definitely because it's in the blockchain.
Mhm.
Will there be regulations in terms of what you're building, since we're talking about real estate, Airbnb type of
It's a
thing,
good
and
question.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the most important questions with our product and with our build out.
Mhm.
One of the things that we've been doing over the last 12 months is we've been working with lawyers to try to understand how best to structure this.
Mhm.
And one of the
Mm,
conclusions that have come out is that the longer term vision is to have a global real estate platform where people have access to invest in real estate all over the world. But in order to get there,
yeah.
we need to follow certain steps. And the first step is to focus on one continent and get up and running in one country. So the
Mhm.
decision that we've
Good
made
point.
is Europe will be the first continent, Spain will be the first country. The reason we've
Mhm.
gone for Spain is, number one, it's a top 5 European country. So it's very
Yeah.
well structured. It's a very mature market. It has rule of law. There's very basic, not
It's a good
basic, but very
testing ground.
follow. And it has amazing real estate, right? So the
Yeah.
secondary market in Spain is incredible. So you have
Mhm.
islands, you've got coastline, you've got that whole
So many
Mediterranean, you've got the
options.
Atlantic coast. It's really, really
Mhm.
beautiful and highly desirable. And
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
rental yields are really, really good, right? So our
Yeah.
idea is we start in Spain. We build the platform so it's fully compliant
Mhm.
to Spanish legal requirements. And then we can go pan-European, because once it's built and functions in Spain, we can then access the rest of Europe. And then within Europe,
Mhm.
we have what, 500 plus
Wow.
million people, beautiful countries on again on the Mediterranean. You've got France, you've got Italy, You've got Greece, you've
So
got
many options. Yeah.
so you've got so many beautiful options with nice structured markets, with good rental yields, high quality properties. And then really from there, then we would look to spring into other continents. And we would love
Yeah.
Mm.
to move into Southeast Asia, which I think is
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful parts of the world, with incredible countries, incredible islands, incredible properties. So,
Yeah.
it's a very much structured approach that has to be
Mhm.
compliant. And we're working with really good lawyers in terms of how to structure this with the long-term vision of really having a global platform for global real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. But by the way, I forgot to ask, and we forgot to ask Julian, about Tina. Yeah. Tina is not here, but maybe you can tell us more about Tina. I believe she's also an expert of the in terms of regularization of
Yeah.
countries.
Yeah, so Tina, who's our other co-founder, unfortunately couldn't make it today. But she over the last 15 years has been in the finance industry.
Mhm.
She's worked with Goldman Sachs. She's worked with the International Development Bank, and she's really focused on regulation, finance, and compliance. And so that's been her focus for the last 15 years. And so she's very much leading the push into let's say, structuring and creating a compliant business.
Mhm.
And so she's very, very capable with lots of years' experience. And she's also somebody that has lived and traveled in many different countries around the world. So she's very familiar with the real estate market. She has owned many secondary homes herself. She's lived in the
Mhm.
Philippines for 3 years, working with the
Yeah.
International Development Bank. She's currently actually living in Georgia, the country Georgia. So she has that great sort of balance of real estate experience, having lived in
Mhm.
many different jurisdictions and countries, and having a good grip on compliance and structural issues. So,
She was made for
helping
this.
us with that.
Her background just led her to this project. And what I
Yeah, I
love
mean, I
about,
think it's kind of naturally come to all of us because we all
yeah, I
travel
was
a
gonna
lot.
say
We lived in
it
different
matches all of
countries.
you.
Yeah, and we've all owned secondary homes. So we understand the pain
Yeah.
points and the difficulty, but we also
Mm.
understand the beauty of actually being able to travel and stay in beautiful properties around the world. So really wanted to combine it to create a really efficient, easy platform for people to take part in that.
Yeah,
Agree.
I think your background, your interest, your experience adds so much as to why your vision and what you're building for Estate DAO is so strong. Because there are some perspectives that you could keep doing your research, you could keep asking other people, but if you haven't experienced it yourself, there are some intangible things that you need to again experience for yourself to be able to understand completely. So I feel like uh, of all people, the three of you, the three co-founders, are able to recognize what the main pain points are and how to address them. And we're seeing that, just hearing you talk about Estate now and how you are building and approaching these problems. We have I think, is this your website that you guys are working on? Are we able to share this and maybe walk us through
Yeah. Let's
how it is? Yeah,
yeah,
Yes,
I
definitely.
with the
usually
platform.
mhm,
You can share the screen.
it's
Ayushi,
this
are you
one.
okay going through it, or would you like me to do it?
I think till the time the network allows me to do that, I'm all in.
So
Oh
far,
So
so
yeah.
okay,
good.
so this is how our main page. Okay, let me know if it is right time to start on that.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So yeah, this is how our main page would look like. Right now, as you dive more into it, you can click on the marketplace, which is on the top right. And this is how our main listing page would look like. Right now, we have all the sample properties that are listed out here. Just to give this experience to every user who comes onto our platform to make them feel how the things would look like in the coming future.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, so cool. I like that
And
there
the
are
options on,
different.
please go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I love that there are so many options because sometimes you just really wanna, sort everything and so you can easily find what you're looking for. Yeah, go ahead, proceed.
Correct. So right now it's in the very, initial building phase, but as soon, as more and more we keep on developing it, you
Mhm.
understand how smaller and integrate details we'll put into it so that the experience for the customer or consumer becomes very flawless. If you click on the link, you will see higher resolution images of that property. And if you scroll down a little bit, you will get in-depth information of the property that has been listed onto our platform, which would include the full details of the number of room, the bath, the square feet, the purchase
Mhm.
price, the yield, the projected rent, minimum investment, and the year built. Along with that, if you more scroll
Nice.
down, you look at the in-depth information, which are very important for any individual to make an investment, because for anybody to make an investment is a big feat, right? So for that, to give the confidence to any consumer who comes onto a platform, we'll enlist all the smaller to smaller details that would include everything from the financial side of it, from the investment perspective, from the property's
Mhm.
perspective, along with the map of the location. Little bit of connection here,
Mhm.
but yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
and if you also click on the documents, um,
Documents, yeah.
so you'll see how we have gone into the in depth of it. For example, the inspection report, the operating agreement, so that there's a whole transparency between the end user, the purchaser, and the person who is buying the property. So yeah, so for the transparency purpose, we'll have all the smaller details that we would enlist on our
Mhm.
on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And one of the
okay.
most important, yeah, one of the most important is the black box that you can see right now. It is in the development phase. But what, because
Yeah.
this is a fractional ownership of a property, you will see the number of people who, like, the percentage of people who have invested in
Mhm.
it, the number of investors, the amount that has been invested in a property so far. And you'll see that in the coming times, we'll also have a progress bar that would make a user understand, where they have landed onto. For example,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
KYC is one of the most important part of it. So every smaller step would be very very clearly defined on the platform. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Along with that, I would like to
When you guys
highlight,
said you
we
were
are going to
transparent, oh, yeah, go
open
ahead.
our first wait
Shall I jump in? I think there's a bit of network issues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's
go
a bit
ahead.
of delay. Yeah. Go
When
ahead.
you
Go ahead,
guys
George.
said you
Yeah,
guys
so
are transparent, you are really transparent. I mean, look
Yeah,
at the
sorry.
documents.
yeah, so the idea here is to really have all the information you need to be able to verify and make an investment
Mhm.
decision. So the
Yeah.
final tab, which is the market tab,
Mm-hmm.
that will give you a lot of information in there in terms of what is the average sales price of homes in that area, some
Mhm.
comparables, all that
Oh,
kind of information, right? So we're really trying to create a platform where you have all the necessary information to make a decision, not more, not
Yeah.
less, all in one place, super easy to
that's
navigate
awesome.
to help me make those decisions. So that's kind of all the due diligence, right, that you need to know
Mm,
Yeah.
for buying a property, which can be quite time consuming and costly if you do it on your own, trying to search
yeah.
for a property. So that's something that we're super excited about. And then there'll be kind of a final page, which we haven't yet developed, which will be your dashboard. So once you actually click on the investment, you decide to
Oh,
make the investment, you obviously connect your wallet, you
mm,
approve the
Mhm.
transaction, you receive tokens that represent that fractional ownership of the investment. Then you'll have a very nice dashboard that will be able to track your investment, right? All the
Mhm. Yeah.
KPIs will be on there. You'll be able to see everything from what's happening to that particular property. Is it being rented out? How much rental income is it generating? You'll have all your rewards based on that page, so you can track how many rewards you're making.
Yeah.
What are the sort of benefits related to those rewards? So super easy dashboard that kind of tracks everything that you need to know to run with this.
That's so
Yeah,
exciting. And I feel like what you guys are doing is um, people are able to, again, just make proper decisions and as to, do I want to invest in this? Is this aligned with my goals? Because you are providing everything they need to know. Like all the due diligence are just here, a click
yeah.
away. And this is something
Uh,
we need, I feel like, in the real estate market.
I just want to add that, yeah, I think this is the future, definitely. I've been talking about tokenizing everything in the future. That's what Web3 would look like. And
Mhm.
people right now wouldn't even notice that they're interacting with the blockchain because everything is tokenized, even from schools of your children, from communities. And I think this is something that is we're looking at the future actually of
It's
Airbnb. And
inevitable, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, this is great actually. I just want to ask about in terms of revenue model. How does it work? How will
Yeah.
the DAO earn or something? Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of the business model, we
Hmm.
would be focusing on three key parts. So initially, there would be a property acquisition fee that
Hmm.
could
Okay.
range anywhere from 2 to 4%.
Hmm.
That would be paid to the DAO. Okay.
Hmm.
And then we would have a secondary platform, which is really the liquidity platform. So that would enable people to trade their fractional ownership through NFTs. And that's one of the other big advantages of doing this in Web3 is that we can really create a secondary marketplace to
Yeah.
access liquidity. And so
Hmm.
as people trade their NFTs, there would be a small fee there, which could be anywhere
Yeah.
between 1 to 2%. And then the
Hmm.
third piece would be the asset management fee. So we would charge a very, very small fee that could be anywhere from 0.5% to 1% to manage all the properties.
Yeah.
And so the business model is quite robust. And so we can actually see the DAO having real kind of income and cash flows,
Hmm.
which are important in terms of the longevity
Yeah.
of
Oh
and
yeah.
sustainability of the platform. Um,
Hmm.
but as you know, as a DAO, the community owners,
Yeah.
community effectively owns the DAO, and
Hmm.
so we could vote on how that funding is spent or whether that
Hmm.
funding should go out to token holders. I mean, there's various things that we can look at,
Yeah.
but at
Hmm.
least it creates a very sustainable platform.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Yeah.
feel like with things like this, since it's we are very much new to DAOs, and while we do have an idea as to how they usually work, we're entering an experimental stage, especially with this being the first on the IC. You know, I see that the first year, probably, or the first couple of years that you guys are going to be launching or people are participating, you'll be able to adjust accordingly, right? And but
Yeah.
again, like you mentioned, since it's a DAO, the community has a lot of say in it, or all the say in it, so it shouldn't be a problem or a pain point for other people as well.
So
Now,
as maybe an exclusive for your show, we were sort of debating whether we should mention this or not, but I'm excited to say
please
that
do.
we're actually going to tokenize our first property in the next couple of weeks. So
Oh
you'll
Oh,
actually
okay.
be able to
wow.
see the property on the platform.
Hmm.
You'll be able to invest in it, and this will be very much the proof of concept, which will then lead us into
Exactly.
over the next 8 weeks to an SNS sale because we want to become a DAO as soon as possible to take advantage of all the mechanisms that we discussed.
What an
Okay.
alpha. Thank
This
you
is
for
an
that.
alpha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, watching, everybody watching,
Uh-huh.
follow in the next 2 weeks for the first tokenized asset, and expect SNS. When again can we expect SNS as well, George?
So at the moment, we're trying to do it within the next 8 weeks, so within the next
Mhm.
two
Hmm.
months. Obviously, that can move depending on many factors, but we're going to
Hmm.
try to do this within the next 2 months.
Yeah, the SNS right now, the previous projects has been doing well,
Yeah,
and with the market back then was a bit yeah, mediocre, but right now the market right now is very aggressive,
yeah,
and it only takes really one I think you have the right timing here. We're entering the bull run. Bitcoin is around 64, I think. And yeah, I think there'll be a lot of new people coming in, of course, who would want to learn more about SNS and about your project. So I think this is a good timing, to be honest.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with the market sentiment as well, that's a factor. I feel like so it truly is a good timing for that.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe
go
we
ahead,
could,
sir.
George, can you tell us more about of course you mentioned the near term roadmap or plans. How about the midterm plans or maybe Q3 Q4 plans for SIDAO within this year?
Yeah, so in terms of the roadmap, one of the key areas that we'll be focusing on is making sure that the platform is fully developed, focusing on the four key pages that we discussed. So making sure that it really is a seamless customer experience, going from logging into the platform to making the investment and then being able to track that investment. And so that's
Mhm.
going to be one of the key milestones in terms of the product
Mm-hmm.
for us. Then the second key aspect of the product will be to develop the booking platform, which is effectively the Airbnb platform
Mhm.
that will then complement the investing platform. So those are the two areas that we'll focus on in terms of the product.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot of work that has to be done in preparation for the SNS sale. So that
Mm-hmm.
will be something that we'll be throwing a lot of resource into. Aside from that, there's a big focus on the compliance and the regulatory side. So those discussions are ongoing with our lawyers, and we're looking to start putting together structures in the next 7 to 8 weeks that will enable us not only to be fully compliant, but more importantly, to be able to scale this. Because one of the
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
we haven't really talked about was the scaling aspect of this.
Mhm.
This becomes really interesting when the technology layer and the regulatory side get married together and enable
Mm.
hyperscaling of tokenizing multiple properties. And so that's really where we're trying to get to. So, from a technology point of view, we know how to do that, and the IC is perfect for that. But from a
Mm-hmm.
regulatory standpoint, we also have to be structured so that we're able to
Mm.
do that as well. So, when we marry the two, then it can be incredibly powerful. So, those are the two areas. And then obviously, we need to increase the size of the team. As the workload increases, we need to bring in some additional developers
Mhm.
Yeah.
to help us build this out. So it's super exciting. It's been quite an intense kind of year getting to this point, but now we're super excited that we can actually share it with the rest of the community, and then get the necessary resources to really kind of implement and make the vision a reality.
Well, we
Yeah.
love to hear it, and I just want to highlight how often you guys mention, or you guys are very strong or adamant in saying that yeah, we know that there are a lot of regulatory compliances, and we actually want to structure or want to have a structure in approaching that as well. I think that's a good thing because I feel like that's where we're heading. Like you can't scale if you're not compliant, especially here in with news of trading platforms getting banned in so many different countries because they're not compliant. We don't want that to happen in really good projects, right? So it's I find it super interesting that you guys are facing it head on before it even becomes a problem.
Yeah,
Now,
and maybe
mhm,
one of the things to add to that, which is quite important, because I think this is quite
Mm-hmm.
innovative. So we're discussing, and we can't confirm that this is 100% possible yet, but we're
Mm-hmm.
discussing the possibility of a two-tier structure for investing, whereby
mhm,
small check sizes between, let's say, 100 and 300 US dollars may not
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
require KYC, and we can structure that in a separate way. But
Oh,
then larger check
Mm-hmm.
sizes, of course, would require full KYC. So you
mm,
enable smaller check sizes to be able to
Mm-hmm.
invest without having to go through the KYC side, which I think could be quite interesting
Yeah.
for a lot of investors, specifically in the developing world, where they want to try to get into to real estate that's potentially in Europe, for example, which can be very
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
attractive, but may not have the ability to do their KYC.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Agree.
a game changer for sure. And again, that would just increase accessibility even more so
Yes.
with the accessibility that you guys are already providing. Now, building something like this is it's a tall order. Like there's so much that you guys have to take into account and so many things that you want to address. And it goes without challenges for sure. What would you say are the significant, or have there been any significant challenges that you faced while building this, or something that you can foresee that you guys are going to be bumping into in the future? And how are you going to address those?
So for sure, there's challenges, but I think there's challenges in any project that you try to build within Web3.
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
of the big challenges, to be totally honest, is adoption. So how do you
Yeah,
manage to attract lots
I
of people
agree.
to the platform to invest? I don't think today I can think of too many Web3 projects that have had a lot of success in acquiring customers. So that's
Agree.
definitely a challenge that we are
Mm.
focused on. We have a lot of experience within the team of developing very robust go-to strategies to try to attract customers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, one of the key things will be the platform. So, how easy is it for people to get onto our platform uh, and,
Agree.
and to effectively make investment decisions, and also
Mm-hmm.
feel secure with the investments that they're making? So,
Yeah.
there's a lot around there that we are spending time on because that's going to be absolutely critical for us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, really, like you said before, when we went through the platform, it almost has to feel like a Web 2,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
but
the
Mm-hmm.
idea. Yeah.
Web3 plumbing. So it has to be frictionless, it has to be quick,
Uh-huh.
and it has to be super easy to use.
Yeah.
So that's definitely an area. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, do we have all the solutions right now? No, but we're working through it
Not yet.
with robust. So that's one. The
Uh-huh.
second I have to say is compliance and regulation. So we've
Yeah.
discussed that
Mm.
already, and
Yeah.
we've really spent a lot of time and resources on trying to find the optimal solutions around that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally, I would probably point out that one of the areas where we've been pleasantly surprised is how much positive feedback we've received from property owners, from
Oh, nice.
property agencies that look at
Mm.
our platform and are thinking to themselves, you know what, we would love to list our properties on this platform. So the whole
Mm.
concept of
Wow. That's a good sign. That's
so,
a
so that, yeah, so I
Mhm.
mean, that could end up becoming a huge avenue for property listings.
I think
Yeah.
For
that's a strong indicator already. Like, you guys are at the initial stage of this, but there's already so much interest. I think that's a strong indication of what's to come, and hopefully, you keep having more people wanting to list on Estate DAO, of
Yeah.
course.
So we think the product market fit is there. So it's very much
Yeah.
Mm.
how we're able to execute, and then how we're able to bring customers on.
You know what? The features, I'm not gonna lie, incredibly interested in this. Just the details, financials, documents, the market. Airbnb could never. This is so far off of what we have right now, and there's just you guys are filling in that gap, and yeah, there's definitely a huge space for you in this and in the real estate game. Now we have a lot of community questions. I'm trying to listen to you and like read all of the questions, so let's just get down and dirty with all of the questions here, starting with Joko Jampi. Most investors focus only on the short-term price rather than the real value of the project. Can you tell about the long-term benefits for investors in the project?
Yeah, definitely. So there's two big, I think, benefits of this particular project. So number one is I think we're one of we well actually I think we're the second real world assets on chain concept on the IC. I think Gold DAO probably is the first that's come
Oh,
out.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We would be second, and we would be the first in the real estate market. So really, it's an opportunity to invest in a let's say in a platform that is first to the party, and so I think
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
there are a lot of advantages to that. Secondly, I mean, what's super exciting about this is the three components I talked about earlier. So number one, you have the ability to invest in real estate that not only will go up in value over time, but actually will generate monthly cash flows. So who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't
Oh, yeah.
make like 6 or 7% a year on their investment? month in, month out. I mean, it's a cash
Passive income.
generating investment.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, for sure.
yield generating investment, which is super exciting. And on top
Mhm.
of that, of course, you have the ability to earn rewards, to stay in great properties around the world, earn free nights. I mean,
Sold.
it's three different pillars, which is super exciting. So that's kind of how I like to describe it, and to really focus on this combination of property investing and Airbnb. That's what's so
Mhm.
unique about the platform that we're building.
Yeah. So the next one is we already talked about the roadmap. Can you walk us through your marketing strategy for this? Yeah, we already understand the long-term benefits, especially for people who are listing their properties. But as users or investors, uh, how do you plan on addressing that barrier of mass adoption? Like, of course, you're. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so I mean, I think that's the million-dollar question: is how
Mm,
we how are we going to bring in all of these users and investors into the platform? So some of the things that we'll be focused on. So our initial focus will be on how can we get as many of the or as much of the community within the IC
Yeah.
involved in the
mm,
platform, because I think that's an easy win for us, because
yeah.
we're part of the community, we understand the community, and we can market directly to the community. So that's one area. Then the second area will be within the greater Web3 world. So when we start looking at some of these other chains, how can we get customers from other chains to jump into the
Yeah.
IC and actually operate our platform? So
Mm,
we
that's a
have
good
some
one.
ideas in terms of how we would do that, how we would market to those potential customers. And then the third thing is, how do we attract traditional Web2 users? So
Yeah.
how
Mm,
can we get traditional Web2 users
that's a big one.
platform? And that's where we focus a little bit more on traditional kind of go-to-market strategies, on
Mm,
terms of how we would market this. So we would really look to use Web2 platforms, to market and advertise what we're doing, and then also
Yeah.
develop these real-world relationships with agencies, for example,
mm,
Yeah.
that provide loads of properties for the platform. We also want to develop relationships with smaller institutions like family offices that might be interested in
yeah.
Hmm.
investing in properties on a tokenized platform. And so that's going to be a process that we will kind of work on for a long time to sort of drive the
Mm,
adoption. And obviously, we will also work with very kind of key agencies and influencers within the
Yeah.
ecosystem to help us drive that. So it's a multiple kind of multi-pronged approach to bring in
mm,
customers on board.
Hmm.
We need to try to initially get as much awareness as possible. And so we would
yeah.
also ask for the community to help embrace the project and help
Agree.
promote it as much as they possibly can. So,
Mhm.
so those are some of the key areas that we focused on.
Yeah, I think I want to highlight what you said, where you're also going to work with different agencies per country or wherever, because the culture
Yeah.
per place that you go to is so different, and
Yeah.
of course the language, like we can't ignore it. There's so many languages, and uh, here's a question from Joe Star XC. How are you going to build your community for non-English speakers? Since you are a global project, any ambassador program plans available for different countries? How are you going to go about it? I know it's probably still at the early stage, but do you have any idea how you are going to approach this one?
Yeah, so initially, like I said, we'll be focusing on Spain. So Spain will be our initial
Mm,
market. So we
mm.
will have a lot of the material available also in Spanish, for
Ah,
Spanish-speaking investors, for example. And we would
mm,
look to try to do the same thing as we launch in other countries around the world.
mm.
So it's a kind of not all at once, but a sort of
Yeah,
gradual rollout as we enter new territories.
that
And we
makes
will do our
sense.
best to
Yeah.
address potential customers and investors in those regions that we enter in.
That makes perfect sense. Imagine if you guys are rolling out in Spain, but you already have like a Filipino. Yeah,
That's
that
right.
that makes perfect sense. So, aside from the materials that you guys are going to be rolling out, and of course, you're going to be getting like key people, KOLs, who are native to the language, right? Will there also be like a translate option on the website and things like that?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Will there be like a translate or translation option for the website? Like for example, you're rolling out in
Sure,
Spain. Will there be
sure.
like a Spanish option for the
Yeah,
website?
sure, sure. So, I mean, in terms of the website translation, that's kind of an easy win for us, and it's not an issue. So
Mm,
we could have multiple languages.
mm,
So yeah, I mean, we would incorporate that just to try to at least, have as many global
Yeah.
citizens,
yeah.
have the ability to understand what we're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, I just want to add that we have a giveaway, the past NFT. Can you tell us more about the past NFT?
Yeah, so the past NFT is super exciting. So the NFT holders will have early access to the platform when we go
Mhm.
live. They'll also have
Oh.
loads of benefits. I can't say exactly what those benefits are going to be. It's a bit of a surprise,
Yeah.
but NFT holders will have access to them. So you'll basically have first dibs on
Yeah.
Can I join
everything that
this?
we're doing.
How
For
can
sure,
I?
yeah, absolutely.
Sign me
So
up.
I definitely recommend people try and grab one because there's a lot of exciting stuff in store for the NFT holders.
Ooh, sign me up. How do I get into this? Sounds
Ayushi,
really exciting.
Ayushi will give us.
he's got all the
Yeah.
details, all the juicy details.
So we
Oh,
Not the
it's
have
your
connection
phone.
a
failing
marketing
us.
No,
Oh,
team.
there you
no.
go.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
connection. Pretty sad about it,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
it is what. So we have a marketing team which is updating everybody, the community, more specifically about the pass NFT and how you can grab one. Because I think that's the first step of interaction between the community and the platform we are trying to
Yeah.
build. So I would
Mm.
recommend you to go on to our State DAO Twitter handle, and there are different
Yeah.
things running there so that you can grab your own the past NFT.
Yeah,
We
great.
have
That's great.
everything linked in the description box. So if you guys are interested, because this honestly sounds promising, you guys will be competing with me for this one. No, it sounds really promising. So if you want to be a part of their community, please do. We have again everything linked in the description box. Check them out. They have their Medium there, X, everything is there. LinkedIn white paper, Telegram. So please check them out. Their website, of course, and say hi. Say that you're from this live stream, from this
Philippines.
AMA. Yeah, from the Philippines. And again, just be involved, and hopefully you get your hands on their very exclusive NFTs. Again, I'm sorry. Why am I speaking in Tagalog? I'm sorry. I saw
Yeah.
like some comments. I almost spoke to you in Filipino. I think we have some questions still being sent. Maybe are there any questions that you guys want to answer before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's on the right column. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. There's a lot. Like every time I refresh, like there's
Yeah,
a
but yeah,
new question
there's the
being
question.
sent. But I feel like we did cover
We did answer
a lot of them
a
already.
lot.
Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
essay
I
Taoist
mean,
you guys are
maybe
working
there's
on.
one. I
Mhm.
mean, there's one question in terms of why is real estate considered an illiquid asset, and how does the
Uh,
Mhm.
state DAO's tokenization of real estate asset
who
address the
asked this
challenge?
again? Can we highlight it, Julian? Uh,
I will look for it.
I
Yes.
think Scott
Go ahead,
Martin.
Sir George.
Yeah, Scout Martin.
Here.
Scott
Yeah.
So
Martin.
yeah, so no, I mean, I think it's a really good question, and this is one of the advantages of Web3 is, and I
Mhm.
talked about it previously, is that we can create a secondary market. So we
Mhm.
can
Mm.
create a marketplace where you can trade your NFT, which represents a fractional ownership of the property. So if
Mhm.
you need to access liquidity, you have that secondary marketplace to do so. So typically, real estate, when you buy it, it takes a long time to go through the process of owning, and then it takes a
Mhm.
long time to sell it, right? So typically, people can have to wait up to 3 to 6 months to sell their real estate. So that's what we mean by it being sort of illiquid. You can't sort of access liquidity quickly, and
Mhm.
that's one of the issues with real estate. But with tokenized real estate, that solves the problem.
Agree.
I think that's a
And
strong selling point for it, of course.
Go ahead,
Yes, Ayushi,
Aishi.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just trying to give an example. For example, there was in 2008. So, to give an example like that, wherever there's an economic downturn, to pull out your investments from the capital intensive market, which are highly, difficult to pull out in such scenarios.
Yeah.
So here,
Mm.
those problems would be addressed, wherein you can, just go back and forth
Good
with your
point.
properties and are not, stuck up in such situations where you lose everything.
Oh, that's mhm. That's awesome. So I have a question. Like, for example, I want to invest in this. There's no lockout period for a certain asset, correct? So if I buy today and I want to kind of sell tomorrow, would I be able to do so, or will it be similar to other, like, pre-selling of tokens where I have like a lock-in period?
So you're talking about vesting, a vesting
Yeah,
period for
yeah,
the
yeah.
tokens?
Vesting period.
Yeah. So we're finalizing the details now. The likelihood
Mm-hmm.
is there will be a vesting period associated
Mm-hmm.
with tokens initially, but
Mm-hmm.
we're working out the details now. So once we have those, we'll share that obviously with the community.
More
Okay.
reasons to completely follow your accounts, because I think that's a also
Yeah.
a very crucial detail that people need to know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think vesting is incredibly important because you can't just be so flaky about it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, to wrap this up, maybe you could talk about, do you have any future events, or maybe plug in your socials, or any final details that you want the community to know more about Estate DAO?
I think the first thing is the waitlist. We'll open our waitlist soon for our first beta sale, and this week
Okay.
itself. So I think that's the first thing that everybody should look out for. And secondly, going forward, everything would be updated on Twitter. So I think Twitter is the right place. So for that, please turn on the
Oh.
notifications because that's the best way to keep be updated with
Yeah.
everything that we're doing.
Agree.
I am sold.
George.
Like, the moment
Uh,
you said that, I was already
yeah.
like
George, maybe a final message for our
Yes.
Filipino audience on building estate, something like estate DAO, or to keep building on ICP, something like that.
Yeah, so firstly, Nelson, Julian, I mean, great job with everything you're doing in the Philippines to build the
Thank you.
community. I think it's super exciting. You guys are great. My message is to all the potential builders out there, the IC is the most amazing blockchain to try to realize any vision you have within Web3. I would encourage everybody to learn how to code on it because I think the IC is going to be here for a very, very long time and it's going to be the dominant blockchain. It
Agree.
may take a little bit longer than we envisioned, but I think it'll get there. Our experience has been great. The community is super strong. And also, the foundation is great. So the foundation has been there supporting. The individuals in Zurich are absolutely fantastic, very generous with their time. So yeah, my message is anyone that's got a dream that wants to build something, look into the IC and get going because there's also grant programs, as you know, that are available. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a great experience for us, and we are super excited with being the first kind of tokenized property platform on the IC blockchain. And please watch out for developments because there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming through over the next 6 months.
love that. We love to hear it,
Yeah.
that you have a positive experience with ICP, and when you guys building something like SA DAO that's going to be so revolutionary, so helpful for so many investors. It's nice to hear that you're getting the support and just the time that you need for building this. So again, thank you so much for giving us your time of day and answering all of our questions. Again, hopefully this is the first of many interviews that we get to do with Tina next time. So we get to
For
hot see her
sure.
about her
Yeah.
knowledge on the Philippines. But
Definitely.
yeah, Ayushi George, honor is ours. Really incredible interview. Thanks for letting us pick your brain apart about Essay Down. Thanks everyone.
Thanks
Have
a
a
lot,
Thank
great
you
day.
very
guys. I
much,
appreciate
George.
it.
Thank you very
Take
much,
Yes.
care.
Ayushi.
Bye.
Have a
See you
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye bye.
next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Sir Nelson, $1 million question. How'd you like the episode for today?
I think, yeah, yung mga viewers natin should watch out yung tokenized asset in the next 2 weeks, and watch out for the SNS. This can be something big. I do believe on the founders, so yeah, watch out for it. No, it might be a great opportunity, no, to invest and follow yung project kung ano yung mga activities nila. And yung giveaway na the past NFT, free na yon, no? So follow niyo naman sa Twitter, no? So sayang din naman, no, if you have that the past NFT na may mga perks
May
and
early
giveaways.
access pa. Yeah, I think
Early
that's
access, something like that. Yeah.
mm.
So
And I
yung
think
mga
sige sir, go ahead.
mauuna, you can take advantage of this, di ba? If ever nauna kayo, di ba? First mover advantage. Yeah.
Yes, sabi nga ni Scout Martin, mas mapapadaling mag-invest sa real estate. Yun naman yung problem talaga na ina-address din nila, mainly, no?
Mhm.
Napakarami nilang ina-address na problems, but I think this is the biggest one. Papadaling mapa-invest. I think yung tools din talaga nila, no? Doon talaga na
Yeah.
nakita ko yun, sabi ko, okay, take my money. No, I'm kidding, not financial advice. Akin lang yun. No, but it's so interesting kasi these are things that you really have to factor in when you're investing, no?
Yeah.
And for someone who wants to get into real estate, number one, ang laki ng capital na kailangan to get into it. Number two, there are so many factors. And if you don't have access sa ganung klase ng information, alam mo yon, pwede ka masunog, pwedeng hindi so there's, again, so many layers to this, and
Yeah.
they're making it easy, accessible to everyone. So I really think na if ma-execute na maayos talaga to and ma-adapt na maayos, this is gonna be very big, no? Ayan.
Yep.
So, ang dami. It's so interesting. Thank you so much, everyone, for sending in your comments. While we were doing the interview, I've been reading your thoughts on the project. Everyone's so positive and excited. Maraming salamat. We mirror you in that, no? And S8 DAO is one of the, I would say, ang dami nating na interviews. This is the 40th interview na we've had of a project, no? And there are so many interesting projects in the IC, and hopefully we get to interview naman next time, maybe in the next quarter, Filipino developers building on the
Yeah,
IC.
exactly. That's the
Imagine
idea.
how great that would be, no? Sobrang mind-blowing siguro na full circle, you
We've
guys.
we've been
Mhm.
preparing this channel for that one. Maka 40 episodes
Exactly.
na tayo. We're waiting for the maybe 60th episode. I do not know.
And
But it will come.
40 episodes. So hopefully you guys, kung interested kayong maging developers or may mga kilala kayo na maging developers pero walang opportunity, we are providing free resources, free mentoring, mga grants din, you guys. Saan ka makakahanap ng ganito? Walang ganito sa Web 2. And Web 3 lang talaga,
Yeah.
sobrang generous. So please take advantage of the opportunity. Hello kay Miss Christine. Hello, hello. Thank you so much
Hey,
for being
Christine.
here. So there's so many opportunities for everyone. No? Watch out for our real life and online events because we are bringing you value, and value all throughout. So ayan, maraming salamat po. What's your Instagram channel? Lucas, we have everything linked in the description box. If you're not a part of the community yet, you are missing out because we are gonna have so many English ba to? Pasabog. We
Baka
have
ikaw
a lot
yata,
of
Julian, yung
prizes,
ibig
a
sabihin
lot
niya.
of giveaways for that channel daw po in the account. So I feel like
Okay, okay,
ICT
okay.
talaga.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, for our winners, na-excite ako, sir. 4 po ang ating napili for today. We have Joko Jambi, Edo Optinu, Joe Stark, and of course, Scout Martin. Maraming salamat po for sending in your questions. And ayun, nagpa-thank you na pala ako. So, please join us sa aming future episodes. Hopefully, ayun nga, maybe sa 50th or 60th episode natin ay Filipino developers naman. Building on the IC.
Yeah, that's
I
the idea,
will,
yeah.
kapag nangyari yun, sir, babalikan ko tong episode na to. Remember no 40th, minanifest natin. For
Right.
sure. Babalikan natin yan, and we're gonna make it happen together, you guys. So, yan. Tulungan po tayo in that. Sir Nelson, final words for our community?
Yeah, that's it. Abangan niyo yung masterclass that will happen most likely next week. Sana na matuloy na next week. It's going to be registration, no, on Luma, and you need to register, and you can attend that. And within that course, no, sabi natin mga around 2 to 3 hours, you'll be able to really create. You'll be able to learn the language of ICP. You can build on it. It's going to be a full course recorded, and you can backtrack no kung anong parts na miss out nyo. And merong mentorship sa Telegram. So there's going to be full support, and abangan nyo yun next week.
Yes. So ayan, again, so many exciting things. You guys, hindi lang po next week ang kailangan nating aabangan. Ang dami. This month alone, naku po, hindi na kami matutulog para lang we can, again, deliver so much value for everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and sa mga team replay natin dyan, paggalawin niyo po ang basa sa comment section. And if you want to be a part of our community, link in the description box. Thank you everyone. Have a good day po. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy 40th episode.